should wait to come out, that you should try to gain rank or status before you do that. That's a bunch of bull.
It's a new day in the music industry, and I can reach my fans.
We're getting there.
I've caused harm to the political agenda, and which I'm actually happy for.
I would say probably the best message to them is that they're on the wrong side of history.
Whether you're lesbian, gay, bi, transgender, or whatever, love is love. Shout it out to the world.
The Michelle Meow Show. Your A through Z, covering the LGBT, LMNOP, and everyone in between show. And now here's your host, Michelle Meow.
Welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Michelle Meow, your host. It is Tuesday, so, you know, every Tuesday we got our awesome homeboy, John Zipper of Commonwealth Club with us.
Hey, Michelle, how are you?
Do you like being called my homeboy?
You're the boss, so yes, I love it.
John's not really a homeboy. He's actually a very credible, prominent editor of a magazine and vice president of media services of Commonwealth Club, a public affairs forum, one of the oldest, actually the oldest, right, here in California?
The first, yes.
The first and oldest.
The first matters.
Yes, the first does matter. I'm the first lesbian pogs player.
I think that's going to really scare all the lesbian pogs players who are not yet out. But maybe you can be their leader. They can be inspired by you.
Our young producer Jax and our new intern Fong have no idea, what pogs are. This is sad children. They only know the internet and Facebook. And Candy Crush, I guess. That's what you play online or something. So, John, I have big news for you. It's really sad news, actually. You should light a candle or something. Or maybe, strum a guitar. Blake Shelton and Miranda Lambert have broken up.
My goodness, no.
Do you know who Blake Shelton is?
I know that he just broke up.
Yeah, the big country star guy who stars in The Voice, one of the judges. Okay, and his wife is also a mega country star. Anyway, I don't know why I brought that up. I knew you wouldn't know them. Maybe I'm feeling moody and bluesy,
I didn't know them any more than I knew Pogs.
Okay, fine. We'll talk about something that you do know. Donald Trump continues to be an idiot, apparently.
He continues to be controversial.
I know.
Oh.
There's a reason for this all. I know it. It's part of his plan, isn't it?
He doesn't care. Actually, he knows that being what other people might consider to be a buffoon or super controversial, it doesn't lose him support, because his supporters are looking for him to make fun, to cause trouble for the so-called establishment, even though he's a billionaire. My favorite political story.
Okay.
So Scott Walker, the very conservative Wisconsin Republican governor who's running for president, he issued a statement that because it had come out that his two sons disagree with him rather strongly on same-sex marriage. They are very much in favor of it. He's against it. His wife, somewhere in the middle. So his statement came out to try to show that his wife supported him, and he had this weird wording where he was talking about some family members have other extended family who do not agree with them on this issue. I'm like, the extended family who don't agree with you on this issue are your two sons.
Well, he put the dogs before the sons. People these days. Anyway, the media can be such a circus.
Yes.
Let's start the show. The show today is brought to you by Pacific Fertility Center. When life needs a little encouragement, Pacific Fertility Center will be right by your side. Visit pacificfertilitycenter.com. Our guest today is the producer and host of Transition Radio, a radio program on the internet that talks about LGBTQI issues and the issues that affect our community. There was a recent article that was featured in The Advocate, actually discussing the perspective behind a person being an ex-trans activist. Not really sure, if that is what our guest identifies with, so let's just ask. Let's welcome Mark Cummings to the program. Mark, welcome.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm actually pretty excited to talk to you. I mean, we love having, perspective here on the program, and I've listened to your radio show, and so I love it. I mean, the article, like I said, that was featured in The Advocate called you an ex-trans activist. Is that accurate? And if so, what does that actually even mean?
the play of words nowadays, and especially the trans community, that tries to create verbiage and identify people in different ways, such as cis, trying to identify individuals that are not trans. But yeah, I did consider myself a pretty strong advocate for many years for the community. And through the years, I started seeing the community deteriorate in so many ways and become so demanding that I became totally turned off by that label. Therefore, I choose no longer to advocate for the community, nor do I choose to actually identify as such.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's talk about, kind of the work that you do. I know that you have been pretty vocal about, just not everyone needs to transition if you identify as transgender. I mean, there are many transgender people who detransition, by the way. I mean, let's face it, the changes that you have to make to your body is pretty tough. It's not easy, but at the same time, it does not take away from the identity piece. I mean, some people make the mistake that they think that you need the actual full transition in order to identify as your true gender. So let's elaborate on that and kind of your feelings regarding transitioning.
Sure. I truly believe that the individuals like us that are, I like to say, walk in both worlds or are considered having two-spirited, and I know a lot of people get a little upset when that word is used because they say it only belongs to the Native American. I'm actually a Taino Indian from Cuba, so I pretty much do own that actual label. But I believe that human beings don't all fit in a box. And I believe that there is no need to alter your body, hurt yourself with chemicals and alter your genitals and do things that actually, in the long run, really solve absolutely nothing, because wherever you go, there you are. You can't really change anything in reality, but actually hurt yourself by doing these procedures. So when you see a child, and this is our main plight, we see children that are being pushed to actually take hormone blockers or to actually end up on hormones as young as 12 years old. And I'm seeing actual young individuals at the age of 14 go in for procedures. Well, how do we know that these individuals are going to think the same way when they're 20, 25 years old, when actually the brain fully develops then?
So, Mark, where do you think? Yeah, I know. And according to the Advocate article, you've pretty directly gone after some of the medical professionals involved. What about parents? How do you communicate to them? What are your criticisms or other feelings about those parents who have these kids?
Well, I would tell those parents very strongly to make sure that they love and accept their children, but don't push them into doing things that are going to alter their chemistry. They're going to alter their being. I mean, we interviewed somebody by the name of Isaac, who was in the front line of the growing up trans, and he himself had quoted that he felt like a constructed man, that he felt cheated of his natural puberty. So, I know parents are trying to be totally supportive of their kids, but at the same time, are they? Because it's almost like power of suggestion, what I'm seeing, that this has become a product and they're selling this product. And I don't know, I mean, people are people, and we shouldn't be pushed into gender boxes. I think we should be able to express ourselves whichever way we want to, but it almost seems to me like they're trying to eliminate what is different and putting everyone in a box. So you feel like a girl, then let's identify you as a girl, let's do whatever it is to make you a girl. Well, why can't that boy be a feminine boy or just be able to express themselves without having to fit into a neat little box?
And we could even talk about your own personal experience, Mark, of transitioning. But, when you first go through the process, I believe the first step is seeing a therapist, right? A psychotherapist who then diagnoses you and then kind of finds a course for you. Or do you think that there's also, we need to criticize that beginning process as well?
Definitely, because these individuals, I remember back in the day, in 2003, when I first found out about this whole transgender thing, I went to a so-called specialist. So who deals these individual specialists? the gender specialists never really dealt with transgender people. They dealt with gender issues, and all of a sudden now they've created this whole new profession, and they're all of a sudden experts. Like even Dr. Spack, I'm not sure if you're familiar with this doctor. He's the one that actually has started all this puberty blockers, and who made him the expert? He's just like studying frogs, and all of a sudden he became the expert of puberty blockers because he went to the Netherlands and found out some of the work that they've been doing, and he brought it down here. And now he's the main doctor who's actually teaching other doctors. So it's a little iffy to me because it's like this has not been going on. This whole science is very new, and we're placing all our faith on this without questioning. And I want to be able to question. I want people to have an open mind and say, oh, wait a minute, how much information do we really have? There is a long-term study. These doctors are even saying this.
The Advocate article also really plays up the controversy that has arisen around your remarks and your postings on social media and such. Do you find that you're, just by asking these issues or raising these issues, asking these questions, that's causing controversy, or do you think it's the way you're doing it that maybe is, getting people's backs up a little bit more?
What do you mean by the way I'm doing it? I mean, I'm Cuban. I'm very passionate in the way I express myself, and I've been attacked a lot because I, started questioning this whole thing. So after a while, when you still attack, you become on the defense.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah,
just basically, we created a video, my now wife and I, and the video went viral, and people just started attacking us because of the video, because we started saying, these blockers, how safe are they? They're not very safe. There's people that take Lupron that actually have a law class action suit against the company. It's a very dangerous drug for adults. It hasn't even been tested and proven to work for children. So we're just listening to this group of individuals that all work together. The Dr. Olson, Dr. Spack, and now the new doctor, what's his name? Dr. Garafo.
Yeah. And Mark,
Yeah.
I mean, to be honest with you, if I'm hearing you correctly, and just even after doing some of my own, research in your what you do, it's not that you're necessarily advocating for, people to do something. You're just kind of criticizing the, those involved, or certain individuals, certain doctors, as well as, maybe we should take a few steps back and just kind of think about this more in depth than just diving into it and whatever the doctors are, whatever the diagnosis is, or whatever they're prescribing, quote unquote, that we should just go, full speed into it, right?
Exactly. And that's basically what we've done. It's just ask the question, get people thinking. There are a lot of parents that are very fearful. And they come to us via email, and they're thanking us because they're like, I don't want to go this route, and is there another alternative? Why aren't people listening to me? Why are they forcing me to eradicate my child's gender and force them to be this other gender just because there's a few people that are doing this? And so that gave us enough for strength to go forward and speak for these individuals. Because there's only one side, and it's like being sold like the best product ever. And people, there's not enough long-term studies. What's going to happen 25 years down the road when all these kids that have been drugged and pushed, and all of a sudden say, wait a minute, why did my mom allow this to happen?
Mm-hmm. I can't say that I know everything about the puberty blockers, but I think that it is a valid question. I mean, anything you put in your body, and if you don't have enough facts 20, 25 years later, yes, you're right. We could see some adverse effects. Mark, we got to take a quick break, but when we come back, I want to continue our discussion and especially get into your thoughts in regards to being gender variant and gender queer. So stick around with us.
Yes, definitely.
The Michelle Meow Show continues right after this. Don't go away. Thanks for listening to the Progressive Voices Network, streaming the best in progressive talk 24/7. Keep the progressive conversation going on by joining our community. Each week, we send out an email that covers important things taking place in the Progressive Voices Network and throughout the progressive world. Be the first to know of upcoming shows, schedule changes, exclusive programming, and more. Simply go to progressivevoices.com and sign up for our mailing list. It's that easy. progressivevoices.com. Thanks for listening, and thanks for joining the Progressive Voices community.
Babe, I think we're ready.
We're really doing this.
Yeah, I'm ready for our family.
So where do we start? Starting a family is a team effort, and when life needs a little encouragement, Pacific Fertility Center will be right by your side. As a unified team of the best fertility specialists, guided by the highest ethical standards, Pacific Fertility Center provides patients with compassionate fertility care. Visit pacificfertilitycenter.com. This is a true story about two best friends who fell in love and moved across the country to the city by the bay. After many years of dating, Jen and Jacqueline are now planning their dream wedding. It's a big moment in everyone's life when you say I do, especially when you can make choices for your authentic life and your loved ones too. Congratulations, Jen and Jacqueline. Live your authentic life. A special message brought to you by Weatherford BMW.
You're listening to the Progressive Voices channel on TuneIn. Please help us grow. Tell your friends to tune in to Progressive Voices. Find out more at progressivevoices.com.
And now, back to the Michelle Meow Show.
Welcome back. Thank you so much for joining us here on this special Tuesday, July 21st. I am Michelle Meow, your host, and we have John Zipper of the Commonwealth Club here with us, which is always so exciting.
Always glad to be here.
You don't sound gay, by the way. We're going to have we will bring that up later in the show, so you got to stick around. But for now, on the phone with us, we have an activist, in which I was reading an article in The Advocate featuring an ex-trans activist. And it's become somewhat controversial. And so we have Angelo Cummings, who is the producer and host of Transition Radio, which is a media source for the LGBTQA community, who's here with us. And Mark, I'm on your site now, and I wanted to ask you, because I think this will be a great segue into my next question regarding, identifying as gender variant or gender queer. But you no longer identify as trans, and actually on the site it says you're working on healing and returning to your true nature of being female.
What I'm working on is actually balancing out my male and female side. When I transitioned back in 2003, I pretty much put to sleep or try to kill, which is what most trans individuals do, my female side. I had fallen in love with my now wife, Lena, who actually helped awaken that inner female side of me. I don't know if you're familiar with the story. Lena fell off a mountain pass 300 feet heading towards me from Minnesota to Silver City, New Mexico, and I had to nurse her back to health. I had to tap into my female side to do that kind of nursing and just bringing her to where she is today. And I quickly realized, I tried to kill my female side all these years, and something awoken inside of me that allowed me to accept both my male and female side. So right now, what I'm doing in life is just no longer identifying with just one particular gender and pretty much just calling myself gender variant. I see that in the trans community, people end up just dismissing and hating who they used to be. And that to me is almost like counterproductive, because I believe that the two-spirit nature, or what people call themselves trans, is a gift. We're not meant to just hack off one side and just totally live our life as the other gender, if that makes any sense.
What do you think about some of the criticisms, not necessarily of you, but that have generally been made when people get into discussions of gender? Even the issue of talking about, traits that are either female or male. It's just, why is nurturing a female trait? I mean,
Well, it's not. I mean, males have a nurturing side, but society has taught us to fit these stereotypical roles. I mean, we see it a lot of times in genetically born male, they're not allowed to cry. I remember at my grandmother's funeral, my aunt literally, scorned my cousins because they were crying. So it's one of those things that we really can't get away from because it's the way we are raised to believe. And we should knock all that down. And I believe by knocking that down and just allowing ourselves to freely express ourselves in both our energies, the yin and the yang, the male and the female energy, that we will actually be able to heal as a species. Right now, we keep trying to put people in boxes, and transgender individuals are feeding into these boxes.
Let's talk about, the transgender community for a second. I mean, right now the media is eating up the trans, community in a lot of ways, right? With Caitlyn Jenner, Laverne Cox, and so I wanted to get your feelings or kind of what your thoughts are about the fact, how the media is responding to the transgender community today. I mean, do you think that having spokespeople like Laverne Cox, Caitlyn Jenner, even someone as young as Jazz Jennings, for example, with a new show out, is this dangerous to you when it comes to being able to express yourselves in a different way than being male-female?
I think it is, because what they're doing is they're trying to put a face to trans. It's like they're trying to create, like, for instance, Jazz. It's like trying to fit everyone into this little perfect neat box. They're trying to create a 65-year-old individual, showing them off as the new normal. This is the new female. How many 65-year-old women do you see dressing the way Jenner is dressing? How many 14-year-old girls are asked, like Cosmopolitan asked Jazz, if she was pansexual? She shouldn't be thinking about any type of sexuality at that age. It's like she's being pushed like a product. And I think that's hurting the LGBT community in general, including the T. I mean, they're sexualizing, they're marketing, they're too much in your face. And I think that's going to turn around and bite us all in the, where. I don't know if I'm allowed to use that word on
you can. Whatever you say on your show, you can say on ours.
It's going to turn around and bite us in the ass, in the long run. It's like it's become a product. And I remember back in 2003 when I was advocating, it was not about a product. It's about appealing to people's emotions in a certain way. It wasn't about reprimanding people for using the wrong kind of words. It's like the word tranny became such a no-no, and it's like, that word's been used for a long time, and nobody got offended. All of a sudden now, the new wave of trans become offended about everything. I mean, did you hear that new gay pride thing that they're not allowing drag queens? What was it again? In Glasgow, Scotland. It's like this thing now. It's like everybody's so afraid to hurt transgender individuals' feelings. It's like, what? You have to have thick skin in this world. And if you don't have that thick skin, then I personally think they have no business transitioning, because it's a hard life in general.
Do you think the same sort of effect is coming from Laverne Cox's, high profile?
I think Janet Mock was the one that created this whole thing with, and I was quoted being racist for saying this, which I'm far from it. I'm Cuban, I'm Taino, I'm dark-skinned myself. She said she wasn't born a baby boy, she was born a baby, and just started denying the whole concept of biology. And that to me is crazy. It's like, you can identify as you wish, but don't deny your true biology. Don't confuse people. Don't make people walk on eggshells.
And what about what a lot of even the news networks today, and I'll quote them before quoting myself, but these news networks are, interviewing parents and young transgender people themselves, in which they talk about that they feel trapped in their body, and that,
That's so bizarre. That's, how can you be trapped in your body? That makes absolutely no sense. Your mind and your body are the same, and there's no such thing as being trapped. I mean, your hormone play, some people have a little more androgen than others. Some people, their karyotypes are totally different from their normal chromosome or whatever, and there's just different play of things, chemical things that's happening in your body. But to say that you are trapped or that you're born in the wrong body, that makes absolutely no sense. And I used to say the same thing in the beginning. because that was like the power of suggestion. That was what you read, and you figured you want to get your letter from your therapist, you have to say the right words, because that's the key words that they're looking for.
So how did your own mind and your own ideas and your own attitude toward this start to change? What? As I evolved, as I grew, as I started really listening to what people were saying, I started saying to myself, this sounds bizarre, this sounds crazy. This sounds more like a personality disorder than any kind of other disorder. It's like, what's that, the body dysmorphic disorder. There are individuals out there that feel their arm doesn't belong to them. It's neurological in nature. It's not, there's nothing wrong with your arm. There's nothing wrong with our bodies.
Mark, I want to thank you for being with us here on the show today. By the way, I forgot to say it, but congratulations on you and your wife, by the way. You just got married. You're on your honeymoon, so thank you for taking the time to speak with us. And I think, through our conversation and having interviewed, several, again, perspectives here on the show, that's what it is. Our community is made up of so many diverse perspectives, diverse people. There are very many ways to identify yourself. And, if you would like to tune in to Mark's show, you can do that by going to transitionradio.net. Mark, thanks again. Yeah, sure.
One more thing. I think it's important that people realize that they need to learn to love themselves no matter what. And that's always been my main message, is unconditional love for self and others. And that we don't have to fit into a box. And that's, people think I'm not some monster, I'm not some bad guy. I'm just trying to get people to wake up and become aware that they don't need to hurt themselves to be something, that they just need to love themselves. Parents love their children no matter what. You don't have to hurt them in the end by trying to alter things. And don't listen to medicine, because medicine is not your friend. The medical community is definitely not our friend, in my opinion.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you so much for that. And again, obviously, Mark has a lot to say, and he hosts a great show, transitionradio.net. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
The Michelle Meow Show continues right after this, and like I said earlier, I think I sound gay. John doesn't sound gay, but I think I sound gay.
I don't think you sound gay.
And you don't think I sound gay?
No.
Well, there's a reason why we think we don't or we do sound gay, so stick around. Don't go away.